Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. The problems over Harry and Calvin's passports were finally cleared up by the inspector in Durban, South Africa, and soon after, Mary, Harry, Pop, Calvin, and Greg boarded the train which is to take them to Pretoria and then into the Transvaal on their safari. And now aboard the train, we hear...
Well, isn't this colorful?
Yeah,
so native.
Yes. Awfully noisy, though, if you want to take a nap.
Oh, who's tired?
Well, I'm kind of tired. We had to wait so long for you and Harry to get your passport straightened out.
You know, they had a good solution there. What they did was they crossed out where it had my last name is Backstage, and then they wrote in with a red pencil my real name, Houlden, and then they had the initial it, CH. And then for Harry, they had him crossed out where it had Houlden, and they wrote in Backstage with a red pencil, and they had him initial it with his initials, HB.
No, they said that would be all well accepted wherever we go here in Africa, so we can rest assured we can go from one place to another with no trouble.
Was it notarized too?
Yes, I think the inspector was a notary public. How long is it going to take us to get to Pretoria, Mr. Marlowe?
Well, we've just gone through Johannesburg, which is probably the biggest city here, and I thought I was going to stop in Johannesburg myself, but we went through there like it was, you know, just a stop for water.
Yes.
And mail, but it hardly slowed down. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with this territory at all. I'm just going over my camera shots. We're going to open up on a wide picture of a map of Africa.
Oh, that's a good idea, Greg. Mm-hmm.
And then we'll... Did you ever see Bonanza?
No, I don't believe I ever did. Was that
well,
a
then
TV
they'd have
series?
they have the map start to burn in the middle. I thought that's kind of a technique we'd use, and then have the map come apart in flames, and then have your picture, you, Harry, and you, Mary.
What about me?
No. Just Harry and Mary at first, with their pictures right in the center of Africa. And then underneath, we could start the crawl rolling, that is the title and the credits.
And then what do we do? Kind of wink and say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, we're the Backstages?
I haven't gotten to the dialogue. I'm just thinking now in the big picture.
Sure thing.
And then we'll cut then, of course, to some wild scenes from various countries. Like, I should actually be stopping this train now and taking pictures of the countryside here.
Yes,
so
you're going to miss a lot.
A montage of these various shots.
Can you take them from the moving train?
Good thought.
That might be an idea to get a little different look to it.
Might be kind of blurry, though. Do you have a good fast camera?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you know, camera that... I don't know what I mean by that.
Well, we must be moving along at 40, 50 miles an hour here through the jungle, don't you?
Well, I don't think... I honestly, whenever I took a picture of Harry Jr. on a swing, it was always just one big blur. I don't know how you could take a picture out of a train window and expect to get anything.
Those are the old days, Mary. It's new film technique now. It's one of those things that bug you when you look at it, but it's still in effect.
Well, that's probably why I should have brought along a professional photographer instead of relying on myself. I'm barely above the brownie stage.
You mean you're planning to do all of the photography on this TV special, Greg, with no training at all?
Well, I mean, I know...
Listen to that whistle. That's the funniest whistle I've ever heard.
Everything is so different when you leave home. The trains run on the different side of the tracks, like we pass each other on the wrong side here in South Africa.
Yes. Well, I'm going to try to get a little rest before we get there. We'll be busy enough when we reach Pretoria.
I just took a picture out the window, and all I got was that other train.
And so the Backstages train roars on past Johannesburg and toward Pretoria. Tomorrow, the safari begins in earnest when we hear Greg Marlowe say,
No, don't feed the animals.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking.
Wally Ballou is at a highway sign company in Charleston, West Virginia this afternoon. So if you're ready with your report, come in, please. Wally Ballou.
Lee Ballou speaking from the main production studio of the Terwilliger Sign Company in Charleston, West Virginia. Most of the markers you see along highways all over the country are produced here, and right beside me is one of the officials of the firm. And I think you told me your name is Leonardo Thrash. Is that correct, sir?
That's right. But I'm not what you call an official of the company. I'm really an artist who happens to be in charge of the curve department.
Well, you're the one who makes those arrows showing where there's going to be a curve in the highway, right?
Yes, I paint the traditional diamond-shaped sign, black on a yellow background.
Uh-huh.
There's one over there in the easel that I just finished this morning.
I see it. It's the traditional highway curve sign, all right. This particular one indicates a curve to the left.
That's right. This one indicates a curve to the left. I can also paint curve signs pointing to the right. It was really my versatility that enabled me to become head of the department.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that you make curve signs here, because I noticed when I drove into your plant that the plant happens to be located on a curve itself.
Yes, we're on a curve on the highway just outside Charleston, and of course we made the curve warnings that are posted out there.
Uh-huh.
In fact, about 95% of the curve markers that you see in the United States and Canada are produced right in this plant.
Well, it must take a tremendously large staff to accomplish such a monumental job.
That's the third car that's missed the curve today. I don't see how drivers can be so careless.
Well, it's hard to understand with that curve marker you have out there and everything.
That's right. Now, what were you asking?
Well, I was just wondering about the size of your staff here.
Well, we have 5 men working here in curves, and that was carrying an orchestra.
Either that or you had the radio on.
And a good artist can turn out about 2 of these signs a week.
That's really that much work involved, is it?
Oh, my, yes. You see, the average motorist drives by a curb sign so fast that he doesn't notice the real artistry that goes into it, you know.
I understand.
You can see on this model here that the curve part has to be a perfect arc. Takes about a day and a half to draw one of those. And then, of course, you have to put on the arrow then. It's a pretty big job in itself.
Well, do you make up these signs first and then try to sell them, or are they all painted on order?
They're all painted to order. We can anticipate the needs of a highway department, though. We might make up a big batch of curves to the left and then get an order for 50 or 100 curves to the right.
Then, too, I suppose some state highway departments like to show sharper curves on their signs than others.
Yes, that's right. We even get an occasional order for a 90-degree job. Can you imagine that?
Wow. Well, this has certainly been an interesting visit, Mr. Thrash, and I want to thank you for chatting with us. I know you want to get back to work right now. So this is Wally Ballou in Charleston, West Virginia, sending it. My name's Sam Finch. Me and my partner, Ralph R. Kruger, Jr., we're the unsung heroes of the police force. We ride a prowl car at night. Sometimes we go around corners, sometimes straight ahead. Either way, we keep on the lookout for trouble. The other evening, I just pulled the squad car over the curb and shut off the engine when my partner, Ralph R. Kruger, Jr., turned to me and said,
Why'd you pull over to the curb and shut off the engine, Sam?
kind of a quiet night. I thought maybe we could catch a little nap before we have to check in with headquarters.
Oh, gee, I can't sleep when it's this hot and humid, Sam. My shirt sticks to me, and I get too uncomfortable to doze off.
Oh, why don't you just lean back and rest your eyes then, Ralph Jr.?
No, that's no good. Leaning back just makes my shirt stick to the car seat. That's even worse.
It's too bad. I think I could really doze off if you just pipe down, Ralph R. Jr.
Sorry, Sam. But, you know, I've never been able to relax in sticky clothes when it's hot and humid. I don't even wear pajama tops till after Labor Day.
Yeah, it's hard to sleep when it's hot and humid, that's for sure.
Calling car 119. Car 119. Investigate a man behaving suspiciously in the drugstore at Pico and Olympic. That's the drugstore at Pico and Olympic.
Well, I guess we'd better roll.
That's us.
Look at that temperature gauge. Almost up to boiling.
Hey, it must be a broken fan belt.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet on it. Better turn off that engine and have a look, Sam.
Well, maybe it just registered hot because the water wasn't circulating while we were parked there.
No, I'd be willing to bet it's a broken fan belt. Careful when you open the hood, Sam. Steam could come right up and hit you in the face.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to be boiling over. I'll lean in and check the fan belt.
Careful when you stick your head in there, Sam. You could bang it on the hood and get a nasty gash.
Well, the fan belt's okay. Maybe we're just low on water.
Be careful if you plan to take off that radiator cap, Sam. Hot water could spill out all over your hands.
Yeah, I'll be careful.
Calling Car 119. Car 119, disregard that call to investigate a man behaving suspiciously in the drugstore at Pico and Olympic. The case has been handled by the men of Squad Car 24. The suspect has been apprehended, booked, and brought to trial. In 1 minute, the results of that trial.
While we're waiting to hear the outcome of today's exciting case, here's good news for you homemakers. You're well aware, I'm sure, that extra shiny steel ingots have been in short supply this season at your Monongahela Metal Foundry showroom. Now we're happy to say that supply has nearly caught up with the tremendous demand. You may still encounter a limit of 3 ingots to the customer in some scattered areas, but in most places, your Monongahela agent will be happy to sell you as many as you need to replace those old, worn-out ingots you've been forced to use during the shortage. So stock up today while there's a good selection.
The suspect arrested in that drugstore at Pico and Olympic was convicted on 5 counts of behaving suspiciously. Behaving suspiciously in a drugstore is punishable by a term in the state penitentiary of not less than 20 years or more than life.
And so another desperate criminal is brought to justice thanks to the unsung heroes of the police force, the men who ride the squad cars at night. How are you, Chet?
Oh, pretty well, thank you.
You know, we were talking this morning at our program conference before today's show was put together about Kent Lyle. Have you heard anything from Kent?
No, not a word.
Have you tried to follow him up? We were talking the other day that he might have been on vacation back in Chicago. But
Well, he's hard to track down, you know.
I know he is.
He doesn't stay in the same place very long.
Uh-huh.
He changes address right here in New York 2 and 3 times a year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I don't have any idea why that is, the reason for it, but that is the case.
Mysterious, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It gives one pause to think about.
Well, you must be kind of lonesome without your buddy there, the fellow.
Well, I know the Buffalo gals are quite low. They quite taken with Kent.
I know.
And they've been calling me. I can never tell them apart. I never know which one it is on the phone, Brenda or the other one.
Cobina.
Yes. And they've been asking about Kent.
I might mention that the Buffalo gals that Chester speaks of were the 2 ladies whom Kent Lyle Birdley and Chester were dating a few months back. They're not from Buffalo. They're called that because...
Well, because they look like Buffalo. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you do get any word about Chester, will you call us right away?
You bet.
Okay.
Sure.
Chester Hasbrook Frisbee. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of America's favorite family of the Footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. Aboard the train carrying them to Pretoria, Mary, Harry, Pop Calvin, and Greg Marlowe are beginning to experience the interesting adventure in East Africa as they make way to present their television special, or rather to film it. And as we join them, we hear Greg say,
Well, we want to get, of course, many pictures of animals as we can. Because animals, we've discovered, is rating.
oh, yes.
People love to watch animals
They
on
do.
TV.
Especially snakes, too. Snakes kind of make a
Yeah, that's
hypnotic effect on the viewer.
That's exactly what it is. People stand there transfixed with mixed emotions of fear and admiration and, well, whatever.
Yes, I think animals should play a big part in our TV special.
Definitely. You know, I have this Animals of East Africa. It's National Geographic Society book.
Wait a minute. Can you identify what that is that we're just passing?
Let me see. Oh, sure. That's a bushbuck.
A what?
A bushbuck.
A bushbuck?
Yeah.
Bushbuck.
It stands about 30, 36 inches and weighs 90 to 150 pounds.
Say, you're pretty well read on this stuff, Calvin.
Well, I say I have.
How about that animal over there?
That's a wildebeest.
A wildebeest?
Yeah.
Wildebeest?
Wildebeest? Why do you put the A and you sound like you're talking with an accent? No, it's wildebeest.
That's a good.
A wildebeest is 4 to 4.5 feet tall.
That's a good.
They weigh, though, 400 to 500 pounds.
Oh, well, then we don't want to fool with them, do we?
No way. No.
Greg, have you made preparations for us to be protected while filming our special? By that I mean, we'd hate to get close to anything dangerous and not know it.
Well, I thought while I was filming, you other people could stand around with sticks in case the animals came by.
Well, I don't know whether sticks would have any bearing on a lion if he was angry.
You got to remember that animals are as frightened of you as you are of them.
Yeah, I've always heard that.
Yeah,
I've never tried to prove it.
No, I've never seen a fella chasing a lion, though. Have you?
No, I never have.
No. So once they get running one way or the other, it's always the animal chasing the guy.
Yeah, that's the way it usually works out.
Yes, I've never seen anybody chasing, for instance, a gorilla, a man particularly.
No, Greg, I just had a good idea. A feature of our show should be some of the local talent around Pretoria. Maybe we could get a singing group, or maybe what's new in music in this part of East Africa.
Well, that's a thought. What do you
Hey,
think
that
of
would be good.
Mr. Marlowe?
Well, I think that's a good idea.
Sure. Must be nightclubs in Pretoria, aren't there?
Oh, I'm sure.
I imagine so, sure.
Pretoria, you see, is just this side of the backcountry. When we leave Pretoria, we're going to be out in what we would call back in the States the sticks.
Yeah, the Transvaal, is that what they
The
call
whole area is Transvaal, and it's, as they say, it's a long time between drinks out there.
it? Speaking of that, Greg, is there a dining car on this train?
Oh, yeah, sure. 2 cars forward.
Uh-huh. Harry, would you like to join me for a couple?
I was just going to get down. Mary, why don't you come along with me? And Harry, I want you to take
Greg.
this book and look out. Pick out some of the animals that you think would make an interesting part of the show.
How about baboons? Are they in this part of the world?
I think they are, sure. Why don't you take this book, and Mary and I will go up ahead and have a little repast.
Okay,
Oh, that's fine, Greg. Thank you very much.
I'll go along with them, Harry.
No,
Come on,
you stay here.
Calvin.
No, you two stay here.
Well, we want to go to the dining car, Mr. Barlow.
Later.
And so Mary and Greg head for the dining car as Harry, Pop, and Calvin prepare to study up on their coming African safari. You'll want to join us tomorrow when we'll hear Calvin say,
Is it a pride of lions, or what is that?
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife. Word Car speaking. We want to present this week's Face in the News.
And today's face, a red one. It belongs to truck driver Joseph Swanson, who's here with us now. Well, how do you like having your face in the paper, Joe?
Well, pretty good. It's not the first time my picture's been in the paper. Once, when I was 13, there was some kind of an epidemic around, and a picture was taken of me standing on line waiting to get a shot from a doctor.
And the picture of you that appeared in the paper yesterday, the one showing your truck wedged in under the Harvey Township underpass, was it as enjoyable as the picture you just discussed?
Well, a picture of me standing in front of my truck shows me...
It shows you there with a, well, I have it right here, with a perplexed look
Yeah.
as you stare at the contents of your truck spilled all over the road there.
Yeah, I liked the one when I was 13 better. I was much lighter then, much wirier.
Yeah.
I look like a jerk in this latest picture.
Well, would you tell our listeners about your poor height judgment, Mr. Swanson?
Well, you know, I'm somewhat of a philosopher. Life is just a matter of inches.
Sure it is.
In baseball, a ball can be hit 1/10 of an inch away from a fielder.
Sure.
A safe could fall out of a building and miss a guy by 1/2 an inch.
That's right.
Sometimes 3/4 of an inch can be the difference between...
That's right. Look, I agree that life, I think we all agree that life is a matter of inches, Mr. Swanson, but how high was the underpass, and what was the height of your truck?
Well, the underpass is 11 feet high, and my truck from the pavement up runs about 27 feet.
Oh, boy. That must have been quite an impact, Mr. Swanson.
Yeah, it's funny the way it happened. As I was approaching the underpass, I noticed the skull on the gear shift stick wasn't screwed on tight. The head was facing the instrument panel.
And that kind of threw you off.
Certainly did. Next thing I know, whammo.
Well, it's lucky you didn't get hurt, Mr. Swanson.
That it is. I have the protection of the foam rubber padding on the dashboard to thank for that. When I hit the underpass, I was thrown against the dashboard and snapped back into the van of the truck.
I see. Well, now, Mr. Swanson, in the picture, you're staring at the contents of the truck scattered all over the road.
Yeah.
Would you tell our listeners just what it was you were transporting?
Well, I was transporting a lot of office equipment. Desks, swivel chairs, filing cabinets, wastebaskets, desk signs, coat racks, water coolers, stuff like that.
Yeah, and the picture shows the furniture all over the street. Well, now, in the picture, I see a man sitting on one of the swivel chairs that was thrown off the truck. He's got both thumbs under his suspenders, and he's wiggling his fingers and smoking a cigar. Do you know him?
No, he's some wise guy making believe he's an executive. A lot of guys kid around when something like this happens,
So I notice. I also see a man lying on the road, adjacent to the filing cabinet. I guess he was kidding too, huh?
Yeah.
And I also see a man with a feather duster going over your truck with mock sincerity.
Yeah, I punched him one.
And how does your boss feel about all this?
Well, I'm very lucky there. I'm my own boss, so I have nobody to answer to all the damages I pay for.
Uh-huh. Well, you are indeed lucky, Mr. Joseph Swanson, and thank you for being such a wonderful face in the news.
Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of America's favorite family of the footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. Aboard the train carrying them toward Pretoria, East Africa, where they're to begin work on their television special, Mary, Harry, Pop, Calvin, and Greg are enjoying the new sights and sounds and making notes of things to include on their show, as we hear Mary say,
Oh, my, I'm beginning to enjoy this trip now.
Yes, I am, too. I can't say I'm used to Africa yet, but I think
Amazing.
I will
Looking
get
out
to enjoy it.
Windows, see all these animals.
It's like one of those tours you could take at some of the animal parks where you're in a cage and the animals are free.
I've never seen some of these critters that abound here.
Calvin, you were reading up in that National Geographic book yesterday
Yeah.
about some of the animals, the wildebeest.
Yeah. The what did you say?
The wildebeest. Wildebeest?
Wildebeest? I thought it was wildebeest.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't say how to pronounce it in the book.
No,
here.
it doesn't, but I don't know. I used to read Oscar Wilde. I never read Oscar Wilde.
No, I never did either.
I didn't either. I think I'll go along with you, Calvin. You know how to pronounce words best. Thank you very much.
Well, what are some of the animals in there besides the wildebeest, Calvin?
Wildebeest.
A wildebeest.
Well, you have your viper. You have your...
That's some kind of an asp, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose. Is it the viper? Oh, yeah, it's a snake, I
Yes.
suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have your reed bark, and you have your poachers. Well, poachers aren't just
Have them
exactly
everywhere.
animals. Yeah, poachers you have in England. You have a poacher is a person who sits on land that doesn't belong to him.
I remember a poacher on Lord Brandyshire's estate that we dreamed about once.
Yeah, you can also have an egg poacher, which is an altogether
Sure.
different thing.
Oh, poached eggs are very delicious.
I like a poached egg. Maybe we'll have that tomorrow morning. A good old-fashioned poached egg on toast. That'll
Wonder
be
if they'll
very
have
good.
any American food in Pretoria when we get there. Wonder what it's like in Pretoria.
You have your mongooses, or is that mongoose?
No, mongooses, I think, is right.
You have your water buck, your wildebeest, your zebras, your wildcats, and your palm civet.
Your what?
Palm civet.
Palm civet.
Palm civet?
Palm civet.
My heavens. You have your giraffe, your hippopotamus, your rhinoceros. Here, this book from the National Geographic has all the pictures in it.
Yes, beautiful photographs, too.
Something wrong?
No, I swallowed a peanut the wrong way, I think.
A lot of pictures of animals making a kill. I don't particularly enjoy that.
Hey, look at this group coming from the car behind us.
Oh, they all look like they're three sheets to the wind.
They look like they're having a good time, all right.
Yeah, marching through the train, singing, and that's pleasant. You never see that on the Long Island Railroad back home.
No. Listen to this song. It's all about Pretoria.
So we will talk together, so we will talk together. Walk with me and talk with me, and so we will talk together as we march along. Because we are marching through Pretoria, Pretoria, Pretoria.
Hello.
Hello there, folks.
Hello.
They're nodding. They can't stop singing anymore.
Was there paid for by the train?
Who could tell?
Maybe the Pretoria Chamber of Commerce.
So we will hum together, so we will hum together, so we will hum together. Hum with me, I'll hum with you, and so we will hum together.
You know, when I get occupied this way, I like to check on my wallet.
Well, there they go into the next car forward anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pleasant little divertissement.
Yeah, you never see... What?
Divertissement.
Oh, my heavens. Is that an English word?
No, it's a French word.
Why don't you talk English?
Shouldn't be speaking French when you're in East Africa, Harry.
No, this is English speaking.
Well, I get so little chance to use it. I just like to when I can.
A lot of German spoken here, too. The Dutch.
Yes, that's right. There is. Say, it seemed like the train is slowing down.
I believe we're arriving at Pretoria.
I think we've made it. And so our friends do arrive in Pretoria, and tomorrow begin work in seriousness on their new TV special. And you'll want to be here when we'll hear Greg Marlowe say,
Okay, we're going to start shooting today.
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife, Word Carr speaking. And it's time now for the Bob and Ray feature, Hard to Believe. And this week's Hard to Believe object, a carrot that looks like a cat's face. And here to tell us about it in detail is the finder of this amazing carrot. Fine gentleman from Peachport, New York, Mr. Edwin Hardingale. From Peachport, home of the pump. Welcome, sir.
I'm glad to be here with my carrot.
Well, we are too, Mr. Hardingale. We're glad you're here, and I wonder if you'd hold aloft this week's Hard to Believe object so our studio audience can see it, will you?
Oh, wait just a minute. It's pinned in my inside pocket here.
Well, take your time. Everybody wants to see it, though.
There she is. Grand-looking vegetable, isn't she?
Yes, sir. Certainly is grand-looking, Mr. Hardingale. Isn't it a little shorter than the usual carrot?
Well, I ate some of it on the train.
But you ate around the cat's face, and that's what counts because we can still see the part of the carrot that's missing. Now, did you find this carrot on your farm, Mr. Hardingale?
No, I found it in a supermarket.
Oh, you did? What were the circumstances? Tell us.
Well, about a month ago, I was in this supermarket, and this lady was there with a little boy.
In the supermarket?
That's right. Well, anyway...
Don't put the carrot back in your pockets.
Okay. Well, I was in the meat department, which is about 40 feet away from the vegetable department. And at the time I was in the meat department, this lady and her little boy were in the vegetable department.
40 feet away?
That's about it, give or take 7 feet.
I see.
Well, just as I was about to pick up some lamb chops, this little boy over in the vegetable department hollered, "Mom, here's a carrot that looks like a cat's face."
Oh, boy, I bet you shot right over from the meat department,
That's
huh?
right. I rushed over, and I kind of elbowed the boy aside, and I grabbed this particular carrot that you see me holding here.
Did you hurt the little boy when you elbowed him aside?
No, but the boy's mother was a little bit put out. She dropped a large can of liquid detergent on my foot.
I guess you felt that the carrot was something worth fighting for.
That's right. You don't get anything for free in this life, you know.
It was still good enough to get you here on this week's Hard to Believe show. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. It's the day following yesterday's episode now. Harry, Mary, Pop, Calvin, and Greg arrived in Pretoria, East Africa, and Greg has engaged the crew members who are to accompany them on safari. Now, at the assembly point, the equipment has been loaded on the bush wagons, and our friends are about to head into the Transvaal. As we hear, Greg?
Those are Land Rovers, aren't they?
Yes, I think that's what they call them, Greg.
Yeah.
You did well in lining up this crew. They look like good men.
We have all the film, cameras, the lights, and the crew. Is there anything we've forgotten now?
Well, we've got the food supplies, don't we? That's going to be important when we get into the Transvaal.
Yes, I've got the food, drinking water, and is there anything now that I've forgotten?
Plenty of film, Greg. Have we got plenty of film?
Oh, yeah, plenty of film. I have black and white and color. I'd like to get your thinking on this, Harry. I thought maybe we could get two different angles, shoot simultaneously, so that we won't have to, retake the same scene over and over. Take it from two different angles, one color, one black and white. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, it does to me, because I'm
not... It doesn't to me, but I don't know anything about producing film.
No, I don't either. I mean, it sounds good.
It sounds good, but it doesn't make sense. Why one shot black and white? Why not both color?
It's going to be a color show, isn't it, Greg?
I'm sure it will be color. Mm-hmm. But you'll always have what we call
you have a safety there with the
backup. Be a backup.
Well, I don't know. I think they'd both be shot in color, but who's going to shoot the other camera? You're the principal cameraman.
Now, when we get out into the wild, shall I hold the animals while you photograph it? I mean, like, suppose a wildebeest comes by. Shall I hold him by the horns, or what?
I don't think that's a very good idea, Calvin. They can be pretty mean, those wildebeests, sometimes, when they want to be.
Well, if I hold on to the wildebeest, maybe you get a picture of me trying to get on him and ride him.
That would be exciting, all right.
Oh, I don't think you should do that. Greg, that doesn't make too much sense. I wouldn't encourage him to do anything like that.
Well, we'll figure it out when we get there. I think the trucks are ready to pull out, Greg. Shall we climb aboard?
Okay, everybody aboard?
Yeah.
I'm aboard. Wait till I get up.
Wait, give me a hand, Mary. I'll help you up. Well, here we go.
Wait!
Well, we're off into the Transvaal, all right. Did Mary get on that other truck?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think she made that last one. We should turn around and go back and get her, of course.
I don't know how to speak to the driver. He's so full of purpose. He looks like he's carved out of granite, going straight ahead as fast as this wagon will go.
Besides that, I don't think he understands English. Even if we told him to stop, he probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, Mary's just a speck on the horizon now.
She's waving her handkerchief at us, as if to say, I won't see you for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, what do you think?
Think of what? I want to go back and get Mary. She's part of the show.
Well, how are we going to do it?
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get some action out of this driver. Hey, down there.
What do you?
I want you to turn around and go back to where we started from. You understand?
What does you?
No, what does you? I want you to turn around and go back where we started. We left somebody back there.
Doesn't understand you, Greg. We're heading into the Transvaal, leaving Mary all alone back there.
That's what I was telling him. What does you?
Wait a minute. I think he stopped. Yes, he has.
Hey, now what I want you...
He's swinging around. Hang on. Now we're headed back for Pretoria.
Well, at least it's a start.
And so our friends get off to a rather shaky start on their safari. But you want to be here on Monday when we'll hear Mary say...
No, I was all set to go to a movie.
That's Monday in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking.
We invite you to spend another educational session with the idol of the nation's youngsters, Mr. Science. As we look in on the modern, well-equipped laboratory today, we see that little Jimmy Schwab is just arriving to watch Mr. Science perform his latest fascinating experiment.
Well, Jimmy, you've arrived just in time to watch me perform my latest fascinating experiment.
Oh, hot diggity, Mr. Science. This sure must be my lucky day. I also didn't catch the measles this morning from the kid next to me at school. And now, what fascinating experiment am I going to be privileged to behold?
Well, today, Jimmy, we're going to utilize our laboratory equipment to prove that all chemical elements expand in size when they're heated.
Holy mackerel, Mr. Science. I never dreamed that chemical elements did that. In fact, I tried to heat an ice cube once, and it just turned into a puddle.
Well, ice isn't really a chemical element, Jimmy. But if you'd heated the water you obtained from melting your ice cube, then you could have seen it expand.
Gee, willikers, Mr. Science. I don't understand how I could have heated that water when it was all spilled on the rug and soaked right into it.
Well, that's only because you weren't using modern laboratory equipment to perform your experiment. And water really isn't the best element to test for heat expansion anyway. But today, you'll see how another common element increases greatly in size when it's heated. Now, to prove dramatically that the molecules and chemicals grow larger when they're warmed up, we're going to start our experiment with a test tube of chilled mercury.
Golly Moses, Mr. Science. What's that large, imposing piece of laboratory equipment you've utilized to chill the mercury?
That's called a refrigerator, Jimmy.
Great day in the morning. Wait till I brag to the bullies at the playground that I've seen one of those.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be quite a feather in your cap, son. But the most amazing part of this experiment is still to come. Now, notice how the mercury cooled in the refrigerator fills only about half our test tube.
Gee whiz, yeah. It's too bad you didn't have enough to do the experiment right.
Well, as you'll see in a moment, lad, this is all the chilled mercury we need to do the experiment properly. Now, notice how it's already beginning to rise in the tube as it warms to room temperature.
Great. Jumping Jehoshaphat. You're right, Mr. Science. Never before have I seen the working of such powerful magic.
Well, actually, it's not magic, Jimmy. The structure of the molecules is changing. And watch how the process is accelerated as I hold the tube over our laboratory Bunsen burner.
Holy Moses. You can see it growing with the naked eye. We'd better flee in panic before it spreads like the monster fungus from the lost planet I saw on TV and consumes us both.
Oh, just calm down, then. Nothing like that's going to happen. Mercury just happens to be the element that expands most rapidly when it's heated. Some of the others change so little that the difference can only be seen with a microscope. But every form of metal, liquid, and gas does increase in volume when its temperature is raised.
Gee, and I'll bet you could even make some sort of device with an element in a tube to measure how hot the weather is. What a boon to mankind that would be, right, Mr. Science?
Yes, but a device like that's already been invented, Jimmy. It's called a thermometer, and it has mercury inside.
No kidding. Well, maybe we could come up with an improved version using some of the stuff in this other bottle here. I'll hold it with a Bunsen burner and see if it expands.
No, don't do that, Jimmy. That liquid must never be heated. Put the bottle down, boy.
Well, it's only half full.
Put it down.
I want to see if holding it over the fire will make it do anything.
This session with Mr. Science was brought to you as a public service paid for by the Philanthropic Council to make things nicer.
Webley Webster, ladies and gentlemen.
What's new?
Oh, not too much. What's new with you?
Haircut.
I noticed.
Yeah.
That's very good. It's a little bit shorter than you've been used to getting. I guess you're going along with the trend. They say that hair's...
Short hair's coming back.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I'm due for one.
I
haven't had
doze
one.
in the chair. When I doze in the chair, I get a short haircut. I can't keep my eye on them. Cut it out, lady.
No, it looks good. And
Not
barbers
that
love to get somebody that they can
Practice
work on. Work.
Practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm due. I haven't had one for a year and a half. Now, you go over and sit in our staff chairs, if you will.
The one that says Webley Webster.
Webley Webster, and gee, that empty one that says Kent Lyle Birdley, it worries me more and more.
Where's he been?
Don't know. Haven't heard.
Oh, it's a couple of weeks now.
At least.
I wonder where he is.
You would have told us. Afternoon, Bob and Ray.
Hey, it's Kent Lyle.
Ted, haven't seen you for a couple of weeks.
Where you been?
Well, I took a little vacation.
Where'd you go?
I went out to the Midwest
Uh-huh.
and saw a few of the relatives.
Uh-huh.
My drinking uncle, in particular.
Oh.
And then...
Where does he live? Out in Illinois?
He lives in, where is it? just outside of Chicago.
Winnetka. Oh, Winnetka.
Winnetka. I went to see him.
Remember that song, Big Noise, Winnetka?
Yes, Bobby Haggard.
Yes.
The Bob Crosby Bobcats.
Bass viol.
Would have stayed longer out there, but the funds ran out.
Uh-huh.
I only had $75 with me.
Is that right? Well, you can't have too much fun with $75.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Out in Winnetka, you can have a lot of fun?
Well, around that general area.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Webb.
Hello, how are you doing?
Huh?
Oh, boy.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of America's favorite family of the Footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. After narrowly missing the safari caravan as it left Pretoria, Mary was later picked up by Harry, Calvin, Pop, and Greg. And now once more the trucks are rolling and nearing their base campsite in the Transvaal as we hear Calvin.
Well, we didn't know what to do when we saw you just standing there, Mary. We couldn't communicate with the driver because of a language barrier.
But somehow we were able to show him that we wanted to go back and pick you up, which he finally did.
Yes. Well, I was looking around for a movie, but there wasn't anything.
Well, I think you'll have more fun on this safari than you would have at a movie in Pretoria, Mary.
Well, it was on the outskirts. All they had there was like a canteen. And a lot of tough-looking people standing around.
Well,
Punch type.
I think it's just as well that we came back and picked you up, Mary.
Oh, I'm sure of that. Yes, sir. You're a long way from home.
How much further to the base campsite, Greg? Do you know? You got your map there?
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know, maybe...
Where are we right now?
Well, we're practically, you see how the road bends here?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, do you see this, like, wide open area, space?
That wadi there?
Kind of like would be the camp, you understand?
Uh-huh. Well,
No, that's not wadi. This is the wadi up here.
Oh, I see, yes.
But I thought we could camp right here in this
that'd be kind of like an arroyo there.
I don't think they call them that here. I think they call them wadis.
Yeah, that's a wadi over there, certainly.
Yeah.
What's a wadi, anyway?
Yeah, what is it, Greg, actually?
Well, I thought you said it was a wadi. I thought you could explain it to me.
No, I just heard the word. I didn't know whether it was a clearing or a dense brush or what.
It's a baby word for water. You know, little kids say, I want a glass of water.
Oh, no, that isn't what it is, Calvin.
Well, it makes more sense to me than anything else I've heard. I would like a glass of water right now.
I think it's a dry riverbed myself.
Well, here, Mary, here's some water here we have.
I'd like a glass of water, too, Greg,
All right,
after
sure.
Mary.
Very good. Okay, driver, this is it.
What does you?
This is the... Oh, hit...
Hold on.
Oh, look out! Oh, he
throws on the brakes. He really throws on the...
Oh, well...
On the brakes. Look
well,
at
we're
this.
here. Part of your crew has already arrived, I guess, Greg.
Got the tents off and everything. I'm so hungry now, I could eat almost anything. It's been a long time since we had a meal.
Yeah, it has. Come to think of it, did the cook tent get put up? Can you see it anywhere?
Yeah, it's up. I can see smoke curling up now. Indicates that he has a fire going anyway.
Just listen to these sounds, will you? It's going to be a most exciting TV special when we get this down on tape.
I suppose at night the animals are attracted by the fire and the smell of food and come into camp. I think I read that once.
Yes, I think so.
That's true, Mary. We'll have to post guards tonight. Keep them away with sticks.
Well, you're going to have some of the natives act as guards. They'll know how to treat the animals if they try to get in here, I suppose.
Well, I'll speak to the chief in a few moments. Now then, let's see what we can have to eat tonight. What do you think you'll have, Mary?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not all that hungry.
How about you, Calvin?
Oh, I don't know. I think maybe just a Caesar salad
and a glass of white wine. I think that might do it.
You know, a Brunswick stew might be good tonight. Haven't had any of that for quite a while.
That's rabbit stew, isn't it?
Yes, mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if we
should be plenty of rabbits around, too.
Unless he has it frozen.
I'd like some Finn and Hattie, come to think of it. Well, there's no fish market around here, Pop. No, I know that.
I think we're all operating under misapprehension. This certainly is the restaurant. We'll have to take. He's going to make just one thing. He's not going to have Finn and Hattie for you, and a Caesar salad for you, and
Brunswick stew for me.
What's that?
Brunswick stew for me.
Yeah, and steak and French fries for Greg or whatever.
No, I suppose he won't.
He'll have to make one thing, and that will have to do for everybody.
And after that, we'll get a good night's sleep and then set out to film the first part of our TV special tomorrow morning.
That's all.
What's the matter, Greg?
The cook tells me we won't eat anything until tomorrow.
And so our friends have arrived at their base camp, and tomorrow begin shooting of their TV special. You ought to be here tomorrow when we'll hear Calvin say,
Look, it's still moving there on the plate.
that's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife, Word Carr speaking.
For those of you who probably don't realize, Kent Lyle was one of those famous old-time radio announcers. Could you tell us some of the big shows that you announced back in the heyday of radio?
Of course, out in Chicago, I did hits and encores. I don't know whether you're old enough to remember that, but I guess you are, maybe.
Hits and encores, vaguely, all right.
And Tea Time Tunes was a big favorite in the late afternoon.
5 o'clock Follies was always good in the late
That
afternoon.
was the show I was doing when I came to New York. I left that show and came back here to seek my fortune. And, of course, my programs included some of the big ones of the era.
Big ones like the Hit Parade or...
I was going to tell you a story about that. Very interesting. You remember on the radio, my good friend Andre Baruch was the announcer.
Yeah, right.
And he became ill one week that the Hit Parade was on, and I got a call from his office saying they'd like to have me fill in for him.
Have they checked this with Mr. Hill and everything?
Yes, with everybody. It was approved. They knew my voice, and I got my tuxedo out, and I showed up at the studio. This was a big break for me,
Sure.
First big network show. And at the last minute, Andre walked in and said he felt better, and he was going to do the show.
Oh, boy.
I was heartbroken.
That was a disappointment.
And now, Blue Tiger, the only fireworks company with the space-age know-how to put your child on the moon, brings you another episode of The Gathering Dusk, the heartwarming story of a girl who searches for the bluebird of happiness by waiting for it in the shadow of fear. As we look in on the Bessinger household today, Edna is straightening the fringe on the downstairs carpet. It's late afternoon, and Dr. Hoganby, the leading dermatologist in the village, is just arriving.
Oh, it's you, leading village dermatologist Hoganby. I'm glad you could come so quickly. I was afraid you might be out on another emergency house call, or a life wasn't even hanging in the balance.
No, a dermatologist doesn't normally have to make a lot of house calls, Miss Bessinger. Most people with skin condition are able to wait until I'm in my office to see me.
Well, I guess it just runs in my family to come down with sudden critical illnesses at odd hours. I remember how my brother Waldo was forever rushing out in the middle of the night to go to a doctor somewhere. But the boy never seemed to get sick in the daytime.
Well, of course, the main thing your brother suffered from was those gunshot wounds he got during holdups. And he couldn't very well go out in broad daylight to have the bullet removed by that quack who lived down near the swamp.
Well, I never did ask Waldo for a complete diagnosis of his condition. I just remember that he was so strong and healthy as a child. And then suddenly, he seemed to come down with something every time he walked into a gas station or a liquor store.
Yes, well, as I understand it, he used to try robbing those places just by pointing his finger at the owners and saying bang. So, of course, they usually shot him.
Well, Waldo often spoke of buying a Roscoe with the money he got from his first successful job, but then he never did have a successful one. You'd think a boy wanting to go into crime could get a bank loan for the equipment he needed, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't think so, for several reasons. But then, I don't suppose you call me over here just to discuss your brother's failure to make good in his chosen career.
No, you're just as right as you can be about that, leading village dermatologist Hoganby.
I seem to have developed a skin condition that's downright disabling. See all those hard little warts on the back of my hand? They've gotten so bad today that I can hardly bend my fingers.
Well, I can see your problem, Miss Bessinger. Well, those aren't warts on your hand. You seem to be wearing brass knuckles for some reason.
Oh, my stars above, I suddenly recall what happened now. The cat was being a naughty kitty. So I put on these brass knuckles to give her a belt across the chops. I guess the shock of seeing Kitty land on the chandelier made me forget to take off the knuckles. Well, I do declare, leading village dermatologist Hoganby, you just can't imagine how wonderful it is to know that I'm not suffering from the heartbreak of warts. I almost feel as if I'm no longer standing in the gathering dusk.
Can it be that Edna's miraculous cure from an unsightly skin affliction may at last open the door to future happiness? Or will the realization that she has no stepladder to rescue the cat from the chandelier only lead to further heartbreak? Be sure to join us for the next exciting episode, when Edna may be forced to throw cat food up toward the ceiling with a pitchfork in the gathering dusk. And hi there, boys and girls. Let's all come to order now for another meeting of the Charlie Chipmunk Club. And here to read you today's Charlie Chipmunk story is your old friend, Uncle Edgar.
Thank you, Bob, and hello, boys and girls. For our latest story, let's all turn to page 33 of this month's issue of the Charlie Chipmunk Club magazine.
And
there in the first picture.
I sure hope you kids have forced Mommy and Daddy to help you across the street to the newsstand so you can pick up the latest issue of the Charlie Chipmunk Club magazine. If not, better hurry because news dealers are selling out fast at only 75 cents a copy. Now back to Uncle Edgar.
Thank you. And now there in the first panel, children, we see that Charlie Chipmunk and all his friends are gathering in the park to have a picnic. Now, Gustav Groundhog is there, and so is Marvin Mole and Otto the Otter. And we
notice, the boys and girls, that all the little forest creatures are keeping their picnic drinks ice cold in genuine Charlie Chipmunk thermos jugs. Each one holds a big quarter-gallon of your favorite refreshment on the inside and has full color pictures of Charlie Chipmunk on the outside. And yet this handsome, sturdy thermos costs only $8.95. Now again, Uncle Edgar.
Thank you. Now, in the next panel, boys and girls, look at all our little friends spreading out their big picnic blanket on the ground.
And it's an authentic Charlie Chipmunk blanket, kids, woven of strong acrylic fiber and with the official emblem of the Charlie Chipmunk Club stamped right in the corner. Only $17.50 in the regular twin size, and even less for you younger club members who still sleep in cribs. Uncle Edgar?
Bob, we've spoken privately about the way you keep breaking into my stories. I certainly hope you aren't planning to do it through the whole show again today.
Well, I'm just helping the boys and girls learn more about all the great products offered by our wonderful sponsors, and I'm sure you realize these messages make it possible for you to be here. So, won't you continue?
Well, all right. Now, in the next picture, kids, we see the little forest people opening their picnic baskets of fried chicken. And I'll sure bet you never saw a chipmunk eat chicken before.
But everybody loves delicious, super crunchy fried chicken, fixed as only the folks at your local Charlie Chipmunk takeout stand can fix it. 8 big pieces, including your choice of a drumstick or a thigh, for just $3.99. Get Mommy to send out for dinner this evening to that wonderful place where you see the giant figure of Charlie Chipmunk revolving in the sky. Now, once again, Uncle Edgar.
Look, Bob, I've just about had it with you horning in every few seconds to do another commercial. Now, I'm telling you to cut it out.
I'm sorry, Uncle Edgar, but we have a commitment to pass along these valuable shopping tips to the boys and girls.
Well, they aren't just shopping tips, they're commercials. And they're breaking up my story, so it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think it's your complaints that are interrupting the program more than anything. These shopping tips are hardly noticeable. Why don't you just ignore them and get on with whatever you're doing?
Well, listen, I'm pretty upset, but I'll try. Okay, well, now, in the next picture, kids, we can see that Charlie and his friends have finished their picnic lunch, and they're all swinging on the swings in the park.
And you can have a swing like that for your very own kids when you urge Daddy to buy you an official Charlie Chipmunk outdoor trapeze. It also has acrobatic rings and an extra chain that just hangs down to use for whatever you want. Still, it's priced at a remarkably low $98.
Now we see that it's starting to get dark in the forest, boys and girls, so all the furry creatures are packing up to go home now.
And there's plenty of room for all their picnic gear in the back of that 1974 Charlie Chipmunk station wagon gang. Has a big V8 engine plus an authentic Charlie Chipmunk hood ornament in your choice of brass or nickel. Only $4,850 FOB Detroit. Make your folks trade in their old car on a Charlie Chipmunk today.
Moving right along now to the next picture, we see that the
Uncle
little...
Edgar, I'm sorry, our time is up for today, I'm afraid.
Gosh darn it, you never give me a chance to finish my story.
Well, be sure to join us for more fun and stories at the next meeting, boys and girls, of the Charlie Chipmunk Club.
This could never be construed as broadcasting in the public interest, and I'm going to see to it that somebody in Washington fixes your wagon good.
And now, kids, before we all face Chipmunk Land and give the official salute, here's Uncle Edgar to say goodbye.
Goodbye.